And we are back with part 4 of the CAW review. Well, up next, ladies and gentlemen, is ECW Survivor Series. It happened recently on October 4th or 9th. I'm sorry, I forget. It's terrible, I know. It opened up with a father versus son match, the Bundys, Thurman versus George. I'm sorry, but to me, is it me or is George Bundy just unwatchable? Like, I think that may have been what ECW was going for, but George Bundy's just unwatchable, in my opinion. And I can't really say that Sermon's that much better. I'm just happy. Like, a lot of people were disgusted with the fact that Sermon went crazy and just beat the hell out of his son the way he did, because realistically that wouldn't happen. But hey, it's called wrestling. Sermon, in my opinion, I was happy with what Sermon did, and I'm glad Sermon won that match, because if George Bundy would have won that match, I think I would have just stopped watching Call Wrestling. Then there was the debacle known as the tag team title match, and I say debacle only because I just feel bad for Adam Pulp. His tag team partner, Prototype, who he's tag team champions with, who really carried his team, advanced into the main event of the Elimination Chamber, but did not make it, alas. Did not make it into the chamber. Well, actually, he did make it into the chamber, but as a result, Animal Pope would have to defend the tag titles by himself against the Misfits. And the Misfits completely destroyed Adam Pope in this match. Misfits are your new ECW Tag Team Champions. And then the first ever ECW Women's Championship match took place next, as a member of the Misfits, Dixie, went up against Kimberly Page. And the match was in Dixie's hands until a mystery chick came out of nowhere looking like Jazz and just freaking attacked Dixie, and the referee didn't do shit about it. And then Kimberly Page would go on to win the ECW Women's Championship, so Kimberly Page goes into the history books as your first ever ECW Women's Champion. Up next was the YouTube title. Page's man, Eric Samoid versus Metaphor. However, a bit of a shock. The return of Chad happened in this matchup, and the match became a triple threat just like that. Metaphor showed how dominant he is. Again, Metaphor never been pinned. And Metaphor victorious. Metaphor still the YouTube champion, pinning Chad. I was a little upset that Chad got pinned, but what can I do, you know? Next up was Brother versus Brother, a battle for pride, and this matchup turned out to be a hell of a lot better than I thought it would be. This was Antonio the Awesome, is what he's referring to himself as now, and his entrance is just awesome. No pun intended. It just reminds me of freaking the Brian Kendrick. You know what I mean? When you look at Antonio the Awesome, if you don't see the Brian Kendrick, you're ridiculous. And him going up against Blake, the wild cards are no more, ladies and gentlemen. However, at the end of the day, after a fantastic match going back and forth, it was Blake getting the win over Antonio the Awesome for the 1-2-3. And then up next was the ECW Championship match, the Elimination Chamber. However, there was a bit of a controversy going into this match because there was only 5 entrants named before the match started. And then, right as we're getting ready to start the Elimination Chamber match, guess who returns after almost a year hiatus? I'm talking about the one and only Devin Foolhardy. He returns to ECW, and then things got real interesting as he started the match out with Tyrant. Lots of just pain and agony. Freaking Brent and Prototype and Wesley Underhook, Papu Papu, all just destroying each other, literally destroying each other during this matchup. And then it finally came down to Brent and Tyrant, and getting the 1-2-3 in the win, and is now the new ECW champion, Tyrant. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about Tyrant being the ECW champion because, and I know that ECW wanted this feel for Tyrant. He has a bit of a Batista feel towards him. But then at the same time, Batista, a lot of people don't like the idea of Dave Batista in real life being a world champion on a show again. So Tyrant being ECW champion, maybe I'm just having like a bad idea of that. You know, that's just me being picky. Interesting enough, I thought that Brent would pull it off and just be ECW champion. However, it just didn't work out that way, and I'm shocked that Brent didn't get the win here. Maybe they're saving it for ECW's next Click Per View. However, that was the end of ECW Survivor Series, and obviously the best match on the card was the Elimination Chamber match with Brother versus Brother, Antonio the Awesome versus Blake coming in at second. I would have rated it higher if it wasn't for the tag match being so one-sided. Chad's just random return, giving Metaphor a reason to not pin Eric Samoit. And plus misuse of Chad. I would have given ECW a higher rating. However, again, this is opinion. I gave ECW Survivor Series an 8 out of 10. It was okay. It was pretty good, but it could have been better. Could have been a lot better. It had potential to be a lot better. You had Devin Foolhardy returning. You could have just did something with that. Where's the Tyrant Foolhardy feud at? Hello? Yeah. Also, seeing how I still got some time on this video, I'm going to review the next thing, which happens to be my show, the Dynasty Wrestling franchise. Now, I didn't necessarily review it, but I had a friend review it for me, and what's being reviewed is the one match that's up on the ADJ Eagles 7-6 account, and that's Tank versus the Great One. It was a standalone match. Tank getting the 1-2-3 after what was just a hellacious battle. Over 20 minutes of action between the two superstars. Great One showing that he's probably one of the top calls out there. Not the top call in reality, but probably one of the best workers. You know, able to put over Tank the way he did. And that's interesting. You know, now that I think of it, why would Tank not be the sixth entrant in ECW Survivor Series if you wasn't going to put the belt on Brent? You could have Tank just feud with Brent. I think it was set up perfectly when Tank got injured storyline-wise from ECW, but then the feud with Tank and the Great One in the DWF, Tank obviously representing ECW there. My friend that reviewed it said that he gave it a 7.5 out of 10, mainly because, first and foremost, I did not post the entire show that match was on, and that was Unforgiven. Obviously, because of time restraints. Also, the fact that Tank actually did win the match rubbed him the wrong way, apparently, and he said that he thought that the Great One should have won the match when he locked in the Great Lock. And honestly, in retrospect, maybe TGO should have won the match. However, Tank is the better call of the two superstars, and I feel that the right man won, but my friend, as well as a lot of people on YouTube, feel that about 55% of the people that watched the match feel that Tank should have lost and TGO should have won the match. However, it was Tank who was victorious, and that match got a 7.5 out of 10. Coming up next, I will review Demuro Wrestling Association's latest show, Destruction, from October 6, 2008. I'm looking forward to watching that. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm really looking forward to watching that. So, we'll be right back with more CAW review. DJ Wentworth saying, finally, a good CAW Review Show.